What's up, everybody? So Trump is considering classifying Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. It's a rather interesting decision, don't you think? I'm actually really tired right now and I need a nap. Drinking a little caffeine, trying to stay focused here, but let's keep going. But yes, Trump has officially announced these plans to label Mexican cartels as terrorists. Breitbart has officially reported that this indeed is the case. Or in the president's own words, "We're thinking about doing it very seriously. In fact, we've been thinking about it for a long time. It's psychological, but it's also economic. As terrorist organizations, the answer is yes, they are." He says about Mexico, "Mexico, unfortunately, has lost control of the cartels. They've totally lost control of the cartels. Mexico last year had 42,000 deaths, murders, 42,000. It's considered one of the most unsafe countries in the world. Now I'm with them. I really like the new president. He's a wonderful guy. But 42,000 murders. A lot of it's drug-induced." According to Trump, he took a trip recently to the Rio Grande and he witnessed 26 deaths. And he went on to say that the violence on the border itself just isn't covered in the news very much. And he's probably true, because I haven't really seen it either. But Breitbart now has a news team called the Cartel Chronicles team to record the events in the border region. So far, they have found 6 decapitated bodies in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. That's so hilarious, they have a state called Chihuahua. But anyway, they also have 2 large-scale gun battles that resulted in 30 deaths recently. A letter to the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, sent by Chip Roy and Dr. Mark Green, and obtained by Breitbart, and freely open to read online. This letter reads, "Numerous drug cartels employ terrorist tactics that clearly fit this definition, such as the Reynosa Los Metros faction of the Gulf Cartel, the Cartel del Noreste faction of Los Zetas, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel offshoot of the Sinaloa Cartel. These groups use terror to intimidate and to advance their agenda. They threaten the stability of governments across the globe. Even the United Nations Security Council has recognized the clear link between drug trafficking and terrorism. Many drug cartels are based in Latin America regions, of which have seen decades of ruthless violence, according to a Congressional Research Service report, since 2006. There have been roughly 150,000 organized crime-related killings in Mexico alone. Additionally, Mexico's Citizens Council for Public Security lists that 42 of the first 50 most violent cities in the world are in Latin America. Wow. Many of these cities are more dangerous than war zones. Drug cartels have committed heinous acts of terrorism, from carrying out bombings that have killed innocent people, conducting ISIS-style beheadings, assassinating government officials and members of law enforcement, engaging in torture and indiscriminate murder." But apparently the mainstream media is finally getting around to acknowledging the issue. About damn time. Really. And Trump has basically said to this, "I can't believe it. They're finally starting to admit it. But I was there 4 weeks ago, 26 people were killed, and I didn't see one story about it. It's pretty incredible, but you're right though. I can't believe it. I actually saw in the Washington Post and the New York Times over the last couple of days." In Trump's own words. It's obvious that the mainstream media can't ignore it anymore, right? And ever since this recent bit with the Covington Catholic kids and various other things that they've been caught doing, the mainstream media has been walking on eggshells, and rightly so. It's obvious that they just can't get away with pretending it's not a thing anymore. Ignore it and it'll go away doesn't work. Not anymore. They have to talk about it now, or else people are going to realize that they're full of shit, and they can't afford them to have that happen. They have to look good, or else no one will watch them. Pure and simple. And if what that letter said is true, and what Trump himself witnessed is in fact true, then these cartels absolutely are terrorists. Hell, one of the cartels got taken over by a guy who admits he's a terrorist. El Tori. Boy, I could. The reason why I didn't initially include him in this is because I could do a whole nother video on El Tori. He's a whole video on his own. That's a whole can of worms that I didn't really feel like now is the best time to really open at the moment. So I basically saving that for later. But to give you the basic rundown, El Tori is a South American terrorist who basically would absolutely love to kill as many American citizens as he possibly could. He's a ruthless, cutthroat asshole who hates you just because of your nationality, and he doesn't even know you. This is not a reasonable man, and I'm pretty sure he originated from the Middle East, or at the very least has ties with ISIS. So there you go. Many former ISIS members who realized once their group was failing changed allegiances, but we didn't really know where a lot of them went until recently. Many of them popped up in these South American cartels so they could make some extra money. In other words, a lot of them weren't in it for the Islam, they were in it for the violence, it would seem. Anyway,